robotics and other combinations will make the world pretty fantastic compared with today, says Bill Gates. Everyone is requested to give a standing ovation as all the dignitaries are arriving.
A warm welcome and a fresh morning to one and all present here. Heartfelt welcome to All Killer Robotics and Automation Society Conclave 2021-22, AKRASC, presented by IEEE of Federal Institute of Science and Technology and co-presented by IEEE of Rajagiri School of Engineering and Technology.
It's our culture to remember God Almighty before everything that we do or start. So let's begin this function, seeking the blessing and presence of Almighty. I would like to call upon Alvin Paul to lead the prayer, and so let's all stand up for the same.
I come before you today, and there's just one thing that I want to say. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord, for all you've given to me, for all the blessings that I cannot see. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord.
Thank you, Alvin. Without any further delay, let's move on to the formal functions. To deliver the IEEE Code of Ethics, I invite Bridget Joy. I request everyone to please stand up while the Code of Ethics is being read and to repeat after her.
We, the members of IEEE, in recognition of the importance of our technologies in affecting the quality of life throughout the world, and in accepting a personal obligation to our profession, its members, and the communities we serve, do hereby commit ourselves to the highest ethical and professional conduct and agree to accept responsibility in making engineering decisions consistent with the safety, health, and welfare of the public, and to disclose promptly factors that might endanger the public or the environment, to improve the understanding of technology, its appropriate application, and potential consequences, to avoid real or perceived conflicts of interest whenever possible, and to disclose them to affected parties when they do exist, to reject bribery in all its forms, to seek, accept, and offer honest criticism of technical work, to acknowledge and correct errors, and to credit properly the contributions of others, to maintain and improve our technical competence, and to undertake technological tasks for others only if qualified by training or experience, or after full disclosure of pertinent limitations, to treat fairly all persons regardless of such factors as race, religion, gender, disability, age, national origin, sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression, to not engage in harassment of any kind, to avoid injuring others, their property, reputation, or employment by false or malicious action, to assist colleagues and co-workers in their professional development, and to support them in following this code of ethics.
Thank you, Bridget. Beloved audience, hold on to your hearts because you may eventually discover the beauty of this day as the event finally starts to blossom.
IEEE Robotics and Automation Society RAS is a society that focuses both on applied and theoretical aspects in robotics and automation. All Kerala Robotics and Automation Society Conclave AKRASC 2021-2022 is the flagship event of IEEE RAS Kerala section, which is being choked out for the 5th and 6th of March 2022. This year, AKRASC 2021-2022 is being hosted by IEEE FISAT SB and co-hosted by IEEE RSET SB. We are delighted to have wide participation from 15 different colleges, consisting of 120 participants. Chairs of all IEEE RAS student chapter will join the event for respective chapter presentations.
Let's move on to the inaugural ceremony of AKRASC 2021-22.
Now, let me invite Dr. Jisha Via, Chairperson 2021 of IEEE Robotics and Automation Society, Kerala Chapter 2021 for the welcome address. She has contributed a lot to upbring IEEE RAS Kerala Chapter through her endless dedication and hard work. On to you, ma'am.
Very warm good morning to everyone present here and others joining in online. And good evening to Professor Frank Park, who is joining from South Korea. So as the chair of RAS chapter, IEEE Kerala section, I'm honored to be here for the inaugural function of the All Kerala RAS Conclave, a much awaited event for the RAS enthusiasts in Kerala. There were many hurdles in between in the form of COVID, university exams, etc. But finally, we are here. The sleepless nights Joe Pen and team of PSAT, Vijay sir and Adra too, and Aditya and team from Rajagiri have spent under the leadership of our student rep Abdul Ahad and RAS student leadership team have made this a reality. Of course, with the support of Professional Lexicom and Kerala section leadership. So we have been coordinating a couple of good events in the domain of robotics and automation in 2021. We were getting overwhelming responses too. So events include Robotics and Automation Leaders Symposium, which are technical talks from experts in this domain. Then Robotech Tales. We had grand event titled Roadway to Robotics, which was organized jointly with TCS, for which there were around 400 plus participants. Many events were organized jointly with RAS student branches too. So basically, we were trying to create unique identity for RAS members across Kerala with a wide variety of events and to encourage and support students and professionals. And the happy news is that we were globally the largest RAS chapter of the year 2021. And we are also bestowed with the RAS Chapter of the Year award too. So the credit goes to all our valued RAS members, volunteers, especially professional and student EXICO members, RAS SB chairs, faculty advisors, and former leaders of RAS Kerala section. And extending our heartfelt thanks to IEEE RAS Global Awards Committee too for acknowledging and appreciating our sincere efforts, and leaders of IEEE Kerala section for the unstinted support. Now let me move on to the official duty of welcoming the August gathering. So we are honored to have with us Professor Frank Park, the president of IEEE Robotics and Automation Society in online mode. Professor Frank Park is a fellow of IEEE since 2013 for his contributions to the geometric methods in robot mechanics. On behalf of RAS enthusiasts present here and RAS Kerala section, I extend a grand welcome to you, Professor Frank Park. Respected ma'am, Chair of IEEE Kerala section, has also joined with us in online mode. I'm sure that under the leadership of Mini Ma'am, Kerala section will be able to reach greater heights in coming years. Hearty welcome to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Jisha.
It's a great honor to have with us Dr. Roshi John, the man who designed the first self-driving car in Kerala, as the chief guest and the keynote speaker for this inaugural session. He's currently leading a robotics company and he's also the former global head of robotics and cognitive systems at Tata Consultancy Services, Kochi. We are fortunate, very fortunate to have him with us today. We extend a great welcome to you, sir. Our beloved former chair, Sharda ma'am, has been a source of inspiration for all of us. Ma'am, your vision and untiring efforts have resulted in taking Kerala section to greater heights. It's my pleasure to extend a hearty welcome to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Jisha.
The event would not have been a reality without the support of FISAT team. Even though I was directly interacting with Josben and Bijoy sir, I could feel the support and encouragement provided by the managing director, Mr. Shimit PR, the chairman of FISAT. On behalf of RAS enthusiasts present here and RAS Kerala section, I extend a grand welcome to you, sir. Dr. Manoj George, the Honorable Principal of FISAT, was a strong pillar of support from planning of the event to the execution of the same. A warm welcome to you, sir. Let me now welcome the Chair of RAS Kerala Chapter 2022, Mr. Nandakumar, to this function. I'm sure that as the captain, Mr. Nandakumar will be able to take Kerala chapter, RAS Kerala chapter to greater heights. Mr. Regin Narayanan, one of the senior most RAS members of Kerala section, the first chair of RAS Kerala chapter, a passionate robotics and automation expert. A warm welcome to you, Mr. Regin. A gracious welcome to FISAT SB Chair Ardra Saji and Ben Baiju, SB Chair of Rajagiri, and Abdul Ahad, our student representative. Let me extend a warm welcome to Mr. Tom Nigu, Director of Engineering Robotics, Uchimura Robotics, Atlanta, USA, one of the resource persons for our event, and Mr. Aditya Marathe, Newgenics Robotics, SB chairs present, faculty of FISAT, and all other robotics enthusiasts present here. We have got a very good response from the students for this event. A grand welcome to all the students participating in this event and requesting all to make use of this fully, these 2 days event. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. We invite Jisha ma'am to this ceremony. Next, I invite Mr. Jose Ben, Student Representative 2022, IEEE RAS Kerala Chapter, to give us a brief introduction about the program. Jose, please.
Warm good morning all. Myself, Josben, Technical Coordinator, RAS Student Leadership Team 2021 and Student Representative of the year 2022. It's an honor that All Kerala Robotics and Automation Society Conclave, AKRASC 21-22 is being hosted by IEEE FISAT SB, that is my institute, and the co-host is IEEE RSET SB. The All Kerala Robotics and Automation Society Conclave, AKRASC 21-22 is a flagship event of IEEE RAS Kerala chapter, and we are delighted to have a wide participation from 15 different colleges consisting of 120 participants. We are fortunate to have with us Professor Frank Park, past president, and Dr. Roshi Joan as our chief guest. The event consists of product design story sessions on robotics and automation by engineering Robin Tommy, head Rapid Labs, TCS, and engineer Regin Narayan, former RAS chair, Kerala chapter. Technical talk by Mr. Tom Nipumule, director of engineering. Student project expos, robo expos, visit to Maker Village, workshops on ROS and 3D modeling, building Arduino and Raspberry Pi based robots, technical talk sessions, and RAS chapter presentations. The workshop sessions started from 26 February onwards in online mode, and the concluding sessions of the same will be happening tomorrow. Other speakers and resource persons include Engineer Sanjana Mariam, Engineer Ashwin RS, Engineer Harikrishnan K from all TCS, Engineer Sachin, Engineer Srihari, and Engineer Sharat S. I would like to conclude myself with a quote by Laurie Myers. When aspirations are perceived to be achievable, ambition and drive can erase excuses. So once again, I welcome each and every one of you to this conclave. Thank you.
Thank you, Jose. Now I invite Dr. Minisi Ulanath, Chair of IEEE Kerala Section 2022, for the Presidential Address. Dr. Minisi Ulanath, Chair of IEEE Kerala Section 2022, has been a great support for all RAS volunteers of Kerala Section. She'll be joining us online. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. I hope I'm audible now. Yeah, thank you. So respected dignitaries, my IEEE colleagues, students and friends, a very good morning to all of you. I'm extremely privileged, I should say, happy to share the dais presiding the function of All Kerala Robotic and Automation Society Conclave 2021-22, representing the largest section as on date with 10,000 plus members. IEEE Kerala Robotics Automation Society is also the largest chapter, as already mentioned by Jisha. It's also a matter of pride for us. The Kerala section has been always trying our best to improve the student activities, and all the society chapters are also taking lead in this endeavor. The section's efforts to deliver maximum benefits to its members have been honored time and again over the years by IEEE. The awards and accolades speak for itself. As already Jisha mentioned, last year we are proud that Robotic and Automation Society chapter of Kerala section was awarded the chapter of year and also was recognized as globally the largest in MGA. So for the interest of the dignitaries, I would like to just mention that our student network link, as we call it, is headed by a chair of student activities, which started off in 2005, aimed at networking the student branches in a very effective way. This is to increase the value of IEEE student membership. Over the years, it has been evolved into a very good model, which you can see now, with all the society chapter representatives also included. There is a very healthy interaction between the different student chapters, causing an exponential growth in the increase of student branches, student chapters, and activities in Kerala section over the years. I am really proud that is thanks to Sharda and her team. Last year in 2021, it was reported that there was 3,700 events happened in 365 days. So you can imagine 10 events happening at any point of, every day at different locations. As already mentioned, IEEE Kerala Robotic and Automation Society has been taking many initiatives, already mentioned, I'm not repeating it, to stay technically current and network. And the most important thing is the networking with the industrial partners locally and collaborating on various research and projects with all the leading experts. I'm really thankful to TCS and especially Mr. Roshi John and Robin Tommy. In fact, I'm so happy to see Mr. Roshi John. I had seen his driverless car being hacked in one of the cocoon some time back. So thank you, Mr. Roshi John. specifically on behalf of IEEE Kerala section for giving all the support, and all the other industrial partners also. This is also another good, good model which we have been following with all the support of the professionals, how the student members are getting benefit out of it. A special appreciation to Ms. Jisha for taking the lead, Jisha and her team. And I hope Mr. Nandakumar is also continuing, because we can see that this is a conclave of 2021 and 22. I know that there has been many hurdles which made them postpone the events. COVID was one among them. Then university, the very erratic university examination also created quite a lot of problems for the student volunteers. Anyway, thank you, host team. Special thanks to FISAT student branch, who has been always supporting our student activities. Maybe I have very good, I can say, personal relationship with the SB FISAT, and also Rajagiri School of Engineering and Technology. So thank you, the host team, for taking the lead, and all the student participants. And I'm sure that this will be a real feather in the cap with amazing activities in the history of Kerala section. Wishing you the very best, and looking forward to more of interactions and more of industrial participation and more of activities and more recognitions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for your rejuvenating words. As a token of appreciation and gratitude, we would like to present you a virtual memento. Kindly accept it, ma'am. It is my pleasure to invite our esteemed guest of honor, Professor Frank C. Park, for inaugurating the event. Professor Park is the president of IEEE Robotics and Automation Society and also the professor of Seoul National University. Professor Park is also a fellow of IEEE since 2013 and has been IEEE RAS Distinguished Lecturer. He has served on the editorial boards of Springer Handbook of Robotics, Robotics and the ASME Journal of Mechanisms and Robotics. Professor Park will be joining us online. Sir, I invite you for the inaugural address. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much for the introduction. First, let me say it's a great pleasure to be invited to inaugurate the 2022 edition of the All Kerala Robotics and Automation Society Conclave. As introduced, I'm Frank Park, and I'm serving as the president of the IEEE Robotics and Automation Society for 2022 and 2023. I teach at Seoul National University in Seoul, Korea. Some of the students in the audience, you may have come across a textbook called Modern Robotics that I wrote together with Kevin Lynch. Let me also add my congratulations to the Kerala chapter. This award recognizes the activities of the most active, energetic chapter, and I've heard that this year the competition was not even close. To the young people out there, I want to congratulate you on your fine choice of deciding to study robotics for your career. I remember when I was a college student 30 years ago, maybe more, trying to decide what to study. And one of the best pieces of advice that I received from a certain faculty member was to pitch a rising star. And I cannot think of a faster rising star than robotics. Those of you students out there, you're going to be working for the next 30, 40, 50 years. And I cannot think of a more exciting field to study than robotics. As you know, it draws upon everything from design to control to computer science and artificial intelligence, neuroscience. Not only is it intellectually exciting, but the applications and the industrial potential are limitless. Now, the size of the society, or the Robotics and Automation Society, also reflects this. We are the 5th largest society within IEEE. So there are over 46 societies. And we are growing very rapidly. And I think we will soon be the 4th and possibly even the 3rd largest society. Unlike some of our larger societies, we're very young. And currently we tend to be more academic oriented, but this is going to change very rapidly. Our industrial presence is growing, and we see it happening right before our eyes. And even our speakers today are going to be sharing some of their industrial experience. So anyways, I hope you'll take advantage of the many resources that RES offers. We have many online educational resources. We have many meetings and workshops. There are also many funding opportunities available for research projects, especially those that are geared toward humanitarian purposes and humanitarian technologies. So I hope you'll apply for these and take advantage of these many funding opportunities that will engage you both intellectually as well as, do some good for humanity. Finally, it's been a long time since my last visit to Bangalore and Mumbai in 2007. And I have very fond memories of the, I'm a real lover of Indian food. And I remember the excellent Bangalore fish curry that I had, that my hosts at the India Institute of Science treated me to. And I'm looking forward very much to a return visit to India. So congratulations once again on your conclave, and I look forward very much to seeing everyone in person sometime in the very near future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your remarkable words and sparing your valuable time with us. As a token of appreciation and gratitude, we would like to present you a virtual memento. Please kindly accept it, sir.
Thank you very much.
Light is a symbol of brightness and prosperity. To make this morning a blessed one, by kindling the lamp of knowledge and wisdom, I would like to invite all our dignitaries to come forward to the stage. Dr. Frank C. Park has officially inaugurated our function. Now, for lighting the lamp, Frank C. Park, Minnie C. Ma'am, and Sharada Ma'am will join us online. First of all, our chief guest, Dr. Roshi John, to light the lamp. Mr. Nandkumar R., Mr. Rajin Narayan, Dr. Jisha Via, Mr. Shimit Pia, Dr. Manu George, Ardra Saji, and Ben Baiju. Thank you. I request all the dignitaries to take your seat. Now we have Dr. Sharda Jayakrishnan, former chair of IEEE Kerala section and Deputy General Manager of Terumu Penpal Private Limited, to address the gathering. She has been a great source of inspiration for us, and her wholehearted cooperation has helped us a lot for upbringing of RAS Kerala chapter, and she'll be joining us online. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, all who have joined in person and online. Respected dignitaries on the stage of the dais, Mini, Dr. Park. Very excited to be part of this event. Thank you, Jisha. In fact, she had asked if I could join in person in FISAT. I would have loved to do this because for the last 2 years, we have had very minimal interactions, in-person interactions. So this would have been a great venue, but I couldn't join, but I'm glad I joined online. Congratulations to Jisha, the executive team of 2021, and Nandakumar and team, the student team of RAS, FISAT, for coming up with such a grand program. I understand that during the initial phase, when Regin had started off the chapter, we have had conclaves which included professionals in a large way. But this, I understand, is perhaps the first time that we have a large conclave which includes students and professionals, and to have an array of programs which is very much required for robotics enthusiasts in Kerala specifically. So all the very best for the 2 days of interaction that will be happening through this conclave. I thought I must mention one point specifically. I come from an industry, I come from a medical device industry, and we are primarily into manufacturing blood bags. Just for the information of Dr. Park, we are part of a larger Japanese organization which manufacture medical devices, and we are manufacturing blood bags in Kerala, in the southern tip of Kerala. In manufacturing, robotics and automation has found its way much earlier than I think in various other areas. Been looking into the various aspects or various prospects of automation earlier on in manufacturing. Last 2 years, in 20 and 21, Kerala section had embarked on a special initiative which is for industry engagement. So this was called the Strategic Initiative on Industry Engagement. We have had a lot of interactions with Maker Village and the small and medium scale industries in Kerala, specifically in Kerala. One thing that has come out is there are a lot of automation industries in the MSME sector, and also entrepreneurs that are coming up. Robotics and Automation Society chapter actually stands at a very, very high pedestal currently. And there is a lot of prospects within Kerala to support the community, the industrial community and the entrepreneurial community here. I was very enthused to listen to Dr. Park when he mentioned that robotics and the RAS community, when earlier on it was looking more into the academic area, which is of course very much required. It will also be focusing on the industrial, industrial part too. And I must congratulate Disha and team last year when they had collaborated with TCS on a very well spread out program, primarily focusing on the students, which is of course the major area of focus which should be. And I must also thank Dr. Roshi John for all the support that was provided and others who were part of that interaction. What I wanted to emphasize was, while research and academics prosper, not only in Kerala, but across IEEE, and we get the benefits of the same, giving back to the industrial community in Kerala is very, very essential. through that, I'm very sure our students are going to benefit the best in terms of coming up as very high performing robotics enthusiasts and professionals. So I'll urge all the participants, I know it's more of students over here, I'll urge each one of you to understand, to fully engage with the professionals who are here, the different, I understand there are workshops, it's a well spread out array of programs. Please utilize it. At the same time, understand the application and see how best you can interact with the nearby industry or support entrepreneur that is coming up. All the very best, and thank you again. Very, very excited to be part of this event. Please stay safe, everyone, and thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your inspiring words. As a token of appreciation, we would like to present you a virtual memento. Kindly accept it, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, ma'am. Now, I would like to invite Mr. Shimit PR, Chairman of FISAT and also the backbone of FISAT family, to propose a special address. Sir, please.
Your permission removing the mask. Thank you. Dr. Jisha VR, Chair, IEEE RAS Kerala Chapter 2021. Mr. Jose Ben, Student Representative 2022 IEEE RAS Kerala Chapter. Dr. Mini C. Ulanat, Chair IEEE Kerala Section 2022. Dr. Frank C. Park, President IEEE RAS. Dr. Sharda Jayakrishnan, DGM, Term of Penpol Private Limited. Dr. Manoj George, Principal FISAT. Dr. Roshi John, VP Global Technology Leader, Robotics. Regine Narayanan, former Chair, IEEE RAS Kerala Chapter. Nandakumar R. Chair, IEEE RAS Kerala Chapter. Ms. Adil Saji, Chairperson, IEEE FISAT SB. Mr. Ben Baiju, Chairperson, IEEE FISAT SB. Mr. Abdul Ahad, Student Representative 2021 IEEE RAS Kerala Chapter. And Dean Academics, Dr. Mini PR FISAT, other faculties from FISAT, students, and other staff, and my dear colleagues. A warm good morning to all. I'm happy that the programs are coming back to our campus. As rightly said by our former speaker, Dr. Sharda Jayakrishnan, the 2 years that we have lost somewhere, but we are bringing back those events again. On one side, we are saying that we have lost something, but in the last 2 years, we have gained also, something we have gained. We have different thoughts for the last 2 years. There have lot of talents we have. Those talents we have taken up. Some became YouTube bloggers, some became travelers, some became writers. So rightly, we are saying that there is an opportunity for every adversity. That 2 years, these are the thoughts we have. Today, we have got an opportunity. For the FISAT, we have an opportunity to host this event, All Kerala Robotics and Automation Society Conclave, in association with the Rajagiri IEEE SB RSET. I understand that all these chapters are very active, and in FISAT also, this FISAT IEEE Robotics and Automation Society is also very active. We have a program in December, Droid, and we got eminent speakers from ISRO and Astromedicity. I remember that. And this is the second program. Now I am attending as a chairman of FISAT. So make this day a wonderful day. That is the message I want to give to you, because every day is special and we have to create memories. I feel that the memories behind us are the motivation to move forward for us. So students, those who are joining or online and they are participating here, please make this day wonderful and add a day to your life. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your invigorating words. May I now invite Principal of FISAT, Dr. Manoj George, who has been a great pillar of support for all our initiatives for addressing the gathering. On to you, sir.
Honorable Chairman of the Institute, Mr. Shimit PR, invited renowned guest of honors, Dr. Frank C. Park, President IEEE RAS, Dr. Menisi Ullanat, Chair IEEE Kerala Section, Dr. Jisha PR, Chair IEEE RAS Kerala Chapter 2021, Dr. Sharada Jagakrishnan, DGM, Derma Penfold Private Limited, Dr. Roshi John, VP Global Technologies Leader, Robotics, AI and IoT, Engineer Regin Narayanan, former Chair IEEE RAS Kerala Chapter, Engineer Nandakumar, Chair IEEE RAS Kerala Chapter 2022, Dean Academics Dr. Mini, Professor Bijoy Varghese, IEEE SP Branch Councillor, FISAT, Ms. Andra Saji, Chairperson IEEE FISAT, Mr. Ben Baiju, Chairperson IEEE FISAT SB, Mr. Abdul Ahad, Student Representative 2021, IEEE Kerala Chapter, beloved Head of the Departments, dear faculty colleagues, non-teaching staffs, coordinators of organizing committee, patrons of IEEE FISAT, and my dear students. A very warm good morning to everyone assembled here, and welcome to the All Kerala Robotics and Automation Society Conclave 21-22, flagship by IEEE RAS Kerala section. Let us begin our day by remembering the quote of Dr. Norbert Wiener, world-renowned scientist who was considered as the father of the automation. The world of the future will be an even more demanding struggle against the limitation of our intelligence. Not a comfortable hammock in which we can lie down to be waited upon by our robot slaves. Robotic technology has an impact on every element of life, both at work and at home. Robotics has the ability to improve people's lives and work habits by increasing the efficiency and safety, while also providing better services. Furthermore, robotics is poised to become driving technology for a new generation autonomous gadgets and cognitive artifacts that the learning capacities interact seamlessly with the environment around them, bridging the digital and physical worlds. In large-scale industrial business, robotics has already shown to be a crucial driver of competitiveness and flexibility. Robotic process automation is a technique that allows software robots to emulate human behaviors using applicant user interface without modifying the system or requiring human intervention. Service robotics, on the other hand, will have significantly more disruptive impacts on non-manufacturing industries such as agriculture, transportation, healthcare, security, and other utilities. The increase in these sectors will be considerably more spectacular in the following decades. Automation is one type of process technology. The term automation was first used in 1945 by Ford Motor Company Engineering Division to describe the operation of their new transfer machines, which mechanically emptied stamping from body presses and positioned it in front of the machine tools. Today, it refers to any fully automated production process that is operated by a machine and requires little or no input from the operator. There are various technologies that can automate manufacturing process, and robot is becoming increasingly significant. Robots are important instruments in increasing the production. To present, the majority of robot adoption has taken place in manufacturing, where robots execute a wide range of manual jobs more effectively and reliably than humans. However, because of continuing improvement, robots are now being used in variety of industries, including agriculture, logistics, hospitality. Artificial intelligence is helping robots to become cheaper, more versatile, more independent. And some robots are designed to replace human employees, while other collaborative robots or cobots, which work along with humans, are designed to complement them. As long this trend is continuous, robot adoption will most certainly a fundamental predictor of productivity, development, reshaping global supply chains. Participating in robotic competitions and conclaves is one of the best methods to learn about robotics. This is a great opportunity to interact with eminent professionals in the field of robotics and automation. According to the government and commercial sector surveys, robots improve job quality, productivity, product quality, and profitability of humans who operate in dangerous environments. Robotics produce employments, and humans who are now working manually may be retrained in variety of fields. Robots too requires upkeep, programming, and design changes. Also, due to the current pandemic outbreak, robotic technology may be provide additional creative solutions to tackle the unprecedented situations. Robotics and AI augment, amplify human potential, increase productivity, and are moving from simple reasoning towards the human-like cognitive abilities. IEEE is the world's largest technical professional organization dedicated to the advancing technology for the benefit of humanity. IEEE and its members inspires global community through highly cited publications, conferences, technology standards, and professional and educational activities. The student branch of FISAT was formed in 2003 with a motto, integrating innovations, and aimed at imparting technical skill sets to the students and raising the standards of the activities towards the society we serve. Association has showcased various international and national events to enlighten our young engineers to the world of science and technologies, innovation and opportunities. I would like to congratulate IEEE FISAT and express my gratitude to the IEEE RAS Kerala section for hosting such a spectacular hybrid mode of event at our distinguished institution. This is a magnificent venue for the people working in robotics and automation from academia, business, research, institutions to interact and collaborate in order to develop the area. I express my warmest wishes to the program of AKRASC 21-22 be a resounding success, and for all students be able to demonstrate their talents so that they can develop optimally in all areas after finishing their graduate studies. Before I am concluding, let us remember the wordings from the interview of John McCarthy, who is the father of artificial intelligence. If it takes 200 years to achieve artificial intelligence, and then finally there is a textbook that explains how it is done, the hardest part of the textbook to write will be the part that explains why people didn't think of it 200 years ago. Let us work together to make aspiration a reality by moving forward with the dedication and development of our nation through the science and technology advancements. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your enlightening words. Next, we have Dr. Roshi Joan, Vice President, Global Technology Leader, Robotics, AI, and IoT, and former Head of Robotics and Cognitive Systems at Tata Consultancy Services in Kochi.
He is a true visionary in the advanced technology concepts and his rich experience establishing delivery and experience centers to manage AI-based projects internationally. Beloved audience, we are so privileged to have the man who kick-started India's driverless car revolution. Sir, I welcome you to deliver the keynote address. On to you, sir.
Nervous because of the not experience. Walk. Yeah. Persistent robotics engineers you have ever met. So many good concepts. Dr. Mini, Dr. Sharda. So please give us a couple of minutes. To clear. Good morning. You can call me by my name.
Hi, I'm Rushi John. I manage and research for a startup company which I'm trying to build. I was formerly the global head for robotics and automation, robotics and operating systems, ECS, where I had a global responsibility to develop, deploy, deliver robots, AI platforms, and those things to different customers around the world. Am I audible? Yeah, so I just I'm just compiled a quick presentation to give you an idea about like what is happening around the world and what all you can contribute to in this world of AI and robotics. So I won't be talking too much about algorithms and technology. So if you had any idea that you're going to sleep in my presentation, that's not going to happen. I guess I feel I have something which is thought provoking for some of you to think about maybe the next employment opportunity or maybe the next startup you are going to start. For all that, who knows? So one of you will become the next Zuckerberg or Bill Gates or Steve Jobs or like the imagination, the opportunities are infinite. So I was going through this this representation in social media and LinkedIn or something about the difference between generals, specialists, and somebody who knows a very few skill sets, and how it is going to make the difference. So this representation has a very important similarity with what AI is going to automate, or AI is going to bring in automation onto our lives in the coming future. So earlier in times, the concept of automation or industrial automation or the industrial revolution happened when they invented steam engines back in the early 1900s or late 1800s. When they invented this kind of a system, which is an engine which can work on steam or any of those kinds of, can push a mechanical system or maybe drive a mill, there was a revolution which happened back then, where the mill industry, there are so many industries which came in where the machines came in the picture. And just like that, for there are certain verticals, just like the specialist column which I see, and there are certain verticals where there was a job in our parents' time. I think the senior members here would remember that typist was a kind of a job. It was a job back then, which was a specialist, who was a typist who can who can type really fast, and can make documents really fast and do all those things. That was a specialist, and there was then. And if you compare it with the typist job today, that is non-existent. Just like that, there are so many types of jobs which have become extinct because of technology. But with AI, the advent of AI and robotics, what happens is like there are so many industries where these things can be applied. So right now, if you see AI, artificial intelligence, which acts as the brains behind the eyes, which are the cameras, or maybe the arms or legs, which are the robots. The AI acts as the skill which can cover almost every aspect of technology, of every aspect of industry. Back when I was in TCS, one of my major job was to create AI technology to different types of industries, from automotive to healthcare to banking and finance to retail to even manufacturing kind of applications, where we are supplying AI and robotics which are together. So what is going to happen in the future is like all these things are all the different technologies or different industries are going to converge together with the help of AI. So you have to have a view on the problem statement rather than the particular technology, or the larger view of it. And that formula really worked for me when I was in TCS, where we were developing a single platform. We call it industry agnostic platform, which is independent of the industry, a platform which works in almost all industries, where we are supplying separate or specific robots or specific applications. So let me tell you, or let me show you about the way the programming languages grew over the time. So in the earlier days, we had these abstract programming languages, which have been, which came up during the 80s, and and the importance of programming, the popular programming language changed over the years. So this is a data which I've been on YouTube. It has been I collected it pre-COVID times when for one of my presentations, and it still holds really good. So if you see that we have normal programming, we have low-level programming, then we have object-oriented programming, and then we have data-driven kind of programming, which we see today, where the typical technology which is being used there is like Python and all, which is driven with the help of so much of data which is there. So the whole thing is an evolving kind of a technology right now. What matters is like how can you train a program with examples so that you can use it for business applications and business solutions and all. So I'm just touching upon certain industries based on my experience and what I did. So AI for advanced automation. So like there are plethora of or plenty of YouTube videos which you have seen, which discuss about how these robots are doing quick manufacturing. You have seen like so many videos. I think all of us have seen so many videos of robots doing a manufacturing process in a car plant or in any of the manufacturing process. You can see the robots coming really quick and doing the welding or maybe fixing some or applying some glue, fixing a glass or any of those things. But those robots are like they are programmed to do a particular task. If the car is not there, still the robot will go there and try to fix the glass. It doesn't know if the car is there. It doesn't know the robot, the model has to change unless otherwise it is being reprogrammed to a particular car model. So there is an application for a requirement where you need to bring in the human intelligence onto the table, and how can you bring in the human intelligence and the human intuition, which can be utilized for this application. For example, if you see, we all use these latest generation phones. All these phones are even now hand assembled, because some of these applications require the dexterity of our human fingers and the vision, which the high resolution vision which we are having, which is not being able to replace with any of the hardware or anything. Still, it requires that precision. So when I was going through, like when we are in services companies like TCS, we talk to a lot of customers on a lot of business statements, and one of the business statements which I was talking to in one of my customers in Mexico was that they have a unique problem. They are making equipment which is used for surgery, and they do have 3 assembly lines where the equipment which is being, or the artifact which is being built in this particular assembly line looks similar. And because of human error in the packing time, what happens is like the packaging will be given to the wrong packaging, and the hospitals will only know just before the surgery when they open that particular artifact just before the surgery. So they had this particular problem. So what we did is like we brought in the concept of deep learning and robotics, so that the system can actually look at the artifact which is being placed there, or which is being placed on the conveyor. It evaluates whether the picture and the device on the packaging is the same, so that it can actually do the sorting that there itself. So because of a human error, if a packaging or any of those issues, human error will always be there. Even if you put the right people or the great minds in there will be always human error which is coming in during this time. So we put a robot with a camera which can actually look at this object, look at this artifact which is packed, and it enables, or it ensures that the package, the device or the artifact inside the packet is the right one. So there are other business statements or problem statements which we face, which is on testing applications. So we all use mobile phones, we all use apps on your mobile phones, we all use ATMs, we all use infotainment. We are going through a time when we are going to use advanced infotainment systems on the vehicles. And then there are in-flight entertainment systems on flights where there is a big screen where you can choose the content which you want to see or hear or anything. So all these things go through a testing process. So most of these companies, these IT companies, which we say, they have a large testing team. This testing team, what they usually do is like they go through a testing script where they have a list of things how to do the testing, and then they do the testing, and then they check that every testing is being done in the right way. So here, let me tell you an example of the ATM testing scenario. There are thousands of, we call it test cases, where they particularly see whether the software update which has come which has to go through the testing and validation process. Then only they will push it onto the ATMs around the country. We all have been using ATMs. How many of you have used ATMs or not used ATMs? How many of you have used ATMs? All of you. So we all know that the ATMs as a software, and they go through a software update process. And the software update process gets elongated because it's a human-driven process. Because a person with a checklist of test cases, which is basically an Excel sheet, tells checks a scenario where let's take a test case scenario where you are putting dipping the card onto the card machine 3 times, and you are entering the PIN wrong. What will happen? The card needs to be blocked. That's the software lock or the software security which have brought into it. If somebody loses the card and it should not be misused. But if that card is not blocked, then the test case should fail. So this is an example of a test case where if the card is dipped in 3 times and punched in the pin wrong 3 times, it would block the card. So just like that, there are so many hundreds or maybe thousands of test cases which need to be done manually. And you might have seen that there are different manufacturers of ATM machines where they like we would have experience, like there are different manufacturers which makes ATM machines and which has the representation, all these things similar, different. Where some machines would suck in your card, some machine you have to swipe your card, and there are machines that are coming where you can tap your card. So there are different types of machines coming in. So the testing process on a software development lifecycle, testing is one of the major processes. So what they usually schedule, if I tell you as an example, 1 week is taken as 3 weeks for development and 1 week for testing. But what happens is because of the inherent delays and the other issues which are coming in, it becomes like 1 week for development and 3 weeks for testing because of the delays. And you have a deadline which you need to finish in a particular stipulated time period. So we started working on using industrial robots and also the AI and cognition techniques to enable a robot, look at an ATM machine, do the testing by itself, and then validate it the whole thing. So what all you have in here? You have an NLP kind of an algorithm and some file management algorithm which can pull in the test cases from a test management suite, which is as simple as an Excel sheet, opening the Excel sheet, reading through every line of the Excel sheet, which you do with the conventional NLP programs. You have so many open source NLP programs. You have a cognitive system which actually does the management of the screen. It looks at the screen, how it does how it manages the screen. So this is one of those live examples which we are doing on a mock ATM kind of a system, where the robot would be able to look at the ATM screen and see what is there on the screen. It knows where to punch the card. It knows where to swipe. It knows how to end the test case, how to start the test case, how to end the test case, and how to manage the whole system as an end-to-end kind of an ecosystem. So thereby, you have a much more streamlined testing process. So in the other case, you can ask me that the tester would lose their jobs because of the extreme or advanced automation which is coming in. So this is a real world example. We have been shipping these kinds of robots to the US from Kochi for the last 2-3 years. We have been on and off shipping these kinds of devices where there are so many companies which make robots, and what we are doing is like we are integrating the AI platform onto the robotic system so that it can do the testing and do the development all by itself, and it becomes a much more streamlined process. So in an organizational point of view, if you see, every organization spends X amount of money for testing, or they have a huge vertical which says that they spend X amount of money for testing this year. And for the next year, they want to reduce 5% of that. If you run in 100%, next year they want to run in 95% of the consumption of money or whatever resource they have. And with these kinds of automation coming into the picture, you can reduce that drastically in terms of 40 to 50%. Still, there will be certain validation which humans can only do, which you need to add, so that the humans can actually use these tools as one of their as a platform, so that they can do more job. This is an example. Another example is like making a robot watch a person do a process, a sequential process, maintenance kind of a process, and giving the right tools in the right time. This is again an example of how the robots are being used, or the deep learning algorithms, which can understand scene recognition. It can precisely see what process this, or in the sequence, what particular process this person is doing and what next needs to be done. So next is what I'm just telling you another example of another industry where it has been there for over 100 plus years, which is the internal combustion engines. Internal combustion engine, the IC engine, like most of you might be knowing, it works on a series of explosions, thousands of explosions, thousands of controlled explosions, which is happening inside the vehicle, which is inside the combustion chamber. And they are converting the whole energy onto a rotational energy, which goes through a transmission system, which goes through the gear, and that's how the cars are working. So because of over 123 years of refinement, the engines today are so reliable, are really well designed. These engines today, if you take a Toyota or maybe a Honda, it can easily run for like 200,000, 300,000, 2 lakh, 3 lakh kilometers without opening up or doing any major maintenance if you're doing the proper services of the engine. And up to 2000, year 2000, these were completely mechanical systems. These were driven by the fuel was injected by a device called carburetor, which mixed the air and the fuel. And then it was given onto the combustion chamber where it did this series of thousands of explosions. And after that, this concept of MTFI, multi-point fuel injection, came into being, where there was a need for software, because these software-driven systems had to precisely point out and give the timings, all those things which you were used to do using mechanical systems. Just like the difference between the watch which you have to wind a spring, which work, and the electronic watches which uses, or maybe the smart watches which we used to. So there are so many specific systems inside the engines which have been, which right now even the internal combustion engines are going to be obsolete in the coming years, and when electric vehicles coming in. Still, these engines are going through a series of transformation. Engines will have its own ability to understand if something is going to fail, its own predictive analytic algorithms, its own ability to contact the service and if there's a part needs to be changed. So what I'm telling you is, it is moving on from a complete software, hardware or mechanical system to a complete software-driven system where there is a huge software stack which controls the engine, and which is going on to the next stage of the mobility value chain. I'm just talking about a bit about the industry where the relationship between the consumer and the manufacturer goes beyond the customer care kind of a thing. The manufacturer gets so much of insights from the engines of different vehicles. Even if you see that the latest cars which are even available in India has this feature of you can put a 5G or a 4G SIM card onto it so that it can do the telematics and communicate with the server and then transfer information. This is the level of complexity, and there is this social media SMS integration, where the social networking site integration, where there's a huge amount of software which is being coming in, and this is something which you guys can contribute, onto doing innovation or inventions or any of those things. So the emerging two-dimensional mobility or the mobility technology which has been driven by somebody owning a car to somebody sharing a car, like what we use in Uber. Uber is a shared kind of a shared solution, kind of a or what they call is like car sharing, carpooling, where you have an app for all the time which you are there, or your app is being you are being hired using, you are hiring the taxi using the app. That at that particular time you are kind of owning the car for your disposal to go anywhere you want. And then the future generation, people doesn't want to, the insights which say that people doesn't want to own a car. They just want to do the share car services, and then they are going to which is going on to the fully autonomous kind of a transportation kind of a method, and then it is going to the level of flying cars. The concept of the future of automotive is going to be electrification, which is the electric vehicle, shared mobility, and then automated driving. So all these things are completely software driven. This is a culmination or a convergence of multiple industries working together, and there's a huge requirement for software. Huge requirement. So when you say automated driving, the automated driving is based on AI, and this AI and one of the major factors which do this electrification is the falling cost of battery. You can see that over the years the battery cost is coming down. So the growth of car sharing is like it's again this is the data which is during pre-COVID, where there are so many companies which are coming onto this car sharing like Uber, Ola, and in the US there are other car companies called Lyft, and for every geography there is another type of car sharing service which is being coming in. So the autonomous driving is again another system where it uses so much of sensory system which captures data from so many data sources, from cameras, lidars, radars, ultrasonic sensors, and other perception techniques where they use to capture data. There is analytics in it. There is storage systems. There is like the data which these autonomous cars are developing, are generating is like in the order of 5 terabytes per 5 minutes or those level of those, and you need to have some sort of a transportation layer like a 5G or maybe some high fidelity Wi-Fi, not the current Wi-Fi, maybe even more higher bandwidth Wi-Fi to transfer this level of data without failing, so that you can do the processing on a remote workstation. So you can have a cloud-driven kind of an approach. The autonomous driving concept is not something new. Back in 80s, Mercedes and Continental were trying with a lot of systems on autonomous driving, where they had all these newly built or invented sensors which made these cars drive autonomously, which they were testing it during test track. This is a video that's there on YouTube, which talks about which shows how the driverless cars are being developed back in the 80s, early 80s. I think it maybe before even I was even been born. So the 70 model Mercedes E-Class. So, but if you compare such a system with the type of traffic which we see in India, can you imagine? This is a video which was taken for one of my driverless car prototype development. This is in Silkboard Junction near Madiwala in Bangalore. You can see how many people are trying to jump onto the road. And India follows something known as a defensive kind of driving, where you always anticipate somebody is going to jump out of it. And you need to have an algorithm which is much more complicated than NASA's asteroid detection algorithm, which is huge asteroids which are coming randomly from anywhere from the space, which can destroy the Earth. So this is the defensive driving, and how can we come out with an algorithm or an AI system or an AI platform which could counter this type of traffic scenarios. And I don't have to show more examples because we all live in India. When I speak in some other countries, I'll show them more examples to understand how the Indian traffic condition is. Like one of the major problems which we face in the non-uniformity of the road signs, not uniformity for traffic signals. We can see in some junctions the traffic signals are hanging because there is no maintenance. They don't have fund for maintenance, and at least in Kerala or in Trivandrum, you have better infrastructure. But there are other cities where things are really pathetic. You can see cattle moving around the road and all those things. And then we created this, tried to create this prototype back in 2000, and like the last 10, 12 years, I've been working on and off on this driverless car or automated driving kind of the technique, where there is we created a Uberization of the whole vehicle, and where we created a Tata Nano, which can drive by itself. Me and my team have been working on this on and off for so many years now, creating value, creating IP, or bringing more people onto the ecosystem, so that creating a driverless car ecosystem in India or in anywhere in the world is not so easy, because there are so many stakeholders which are coming onto the picture. It is not just a few. There are like so many stakeholders which are coming onto the picture. The regulatory authorities is coming onto the picture. I was just talking to Regin When we were testing these prototypes in Bangalore, and I got questions from police. We have been caught by police like at least more than a dozen times. And one of those times the questions were asking were like, since you have so many cameras, are you trying to take pictures of ladies? When we are trying with laptops to optimize the algorithm to make it drive more efficiently, we don't things were non-existent. We are trying to drive a bigger mobile robot on a real world scenario. We could have created bigger mobile robots or which runs indoor, right? So it's on a real world scenario, and there are so many other issues which are coming in, which is more like the traffic regulations. If the car hits somebody, who is going to pay the insurance? So this is one of the questions which we are getting. This is another prototype which we have tested with the previous state chief, Governor Barasa. So I could literally hear my heartbeat when we are doing this demo, because if it hit somebody, I wouldn't be standing here and talking to you guys at this point in time. And then we created even more better prototypes with bigger cards. The idea is to create a much more stable kind of driving algorithms, and how to make it much more solid in terms of an Indian perspective. So as they say, if it works in India, it's going to work anywhere in the world. So it's a tough job. It's not something which I myself or my team alone can do. We need so many young blood coming onto this whole ecosystem. It's something which I'm trying to develop, so that we have an ecosystem of people and artifacts and regulatory bodies, everything coming onto the same page, and doing this level of automation, or doing wonderful things. So I'm always proud to say that I came up and built a 400-member team right from Kochi, who has been exporting robots to different parts of the world. I still have the pride to say that I driven such a program. I had a huge team. So the point is, like, you can also be leaders, and you can also come up with ideas. You can also collaborate with lots of people to develop such and such kind of thing. Which drives me on to the next topic, which is the future of mobility, which is the flying cars. The flying cars is like, there are so many cartoons coming up, and that's a very lucrative kind of an area which you can always focus on, which you can always think about the next stages and next steps of development, and envision of new things. And right now, driverless car is no more a joke. Back when in 2010, and like, you get so many cartoons which makes driverless cars as a joke. So I even get questions when I present about driverless cars from I think Mexico. I think I got a question from an audience saying that if your driverless car see a pregnant woman and a man, whom it will kill. So what am I supposed to answer? It's a philosophical question. And I just asked back, like, how many times have you been driving? And he said, yes. And how many times have you been in a situation where you found a pregnant woman and a man all together on the road, and you have to hit one of them to save yourself? So that's the kind of questions, and that's the kind of, and moreover, because of this, movies has given AI evil connotation. Movies have, like all the movies like Terminator or any of those movies, or has given it like so much of hype to the concept of AI. So when we are doing a process called document automation back in these years, one of these customers literally asked, why is it taking so much time? It should read faster. There are movies which have come. So what am I supposed to answer for this? Because AI and robotics is still an nascent stage. It's a bus which is there, which you can all get in. You can create concepts, resources, wealth with this, and then until you reach that point where the AI or the robot works like the robot which Rajnikant portrayed as in there. And coming back to the topic, the concept of shared mobility or flying cars is not new. Back in the 50s, there is this concept called rototime, which has come, which is more like a helicopter, which used to transport people. This looks like a helicopter, it's not actually a helicopter. It had so many innovative features which could make it fly faster, fly taller, and can go with between two cities, more like a flying car kind of a concept. So it is a slight different from a current day helicopter, because it uses the tiny jet engines on the tip of all these wings, so that it can fly faster, so that it turns around. So the peculiarity of Prototyne is that it has all these tiny jet engines, tiny thrust generators on the fins, so that it creates an upward thrust, and there is a propeller which made it move forward. But this was a failure model. There are the whole company went bankrupt. But there was not too many investors. But if you compare it with today's scenario, you have you are going through a time when all these problems can be solved with technologies. You have these cognition, you have advanced cognition with the help of cameras. You have so many sensors which are coming in, just radar, lidar, and all those technologies which are there. There are so many open source developer communities which you can use it, and then you can build over it, and then you can improvise it, and then you can use it. And then you have battery technologies, as I mentioned earlier. It is coming cheaper day by day. There are so many adoption. There are so many governmental programs which gives incentives if you're using or if you're going to use batteries for your mobility kind of applications. There is autonomous flying data which is yet to be developed. It's again a problem which you can always think about. There's a ecosystem collaboration, because when you use the air, or maybe when you're trying to fly, there are so many regulatory things which has come in, which you need to governmental regulations which you need to follow. Where there are no fly zones, there are places where you cannot go beyond a particular height. So there are so many regulations. So all these things have to come in, and we are going through a time when this becomes reality. When you guys go to work, flying cars will become either for recreation. Recreation flying, devices are already there, which you can actually purchase. And it's an ecosystem which is developing. It is something which is developing. It is just like what Steve Jobs once said. Computers are like the bicycles of your mind. You can go faster, you can think about it, you can come out with imagination. So all these things happen or works as platforms for the new generation, like the young blood like you guys, to build things over. Back in my time, we had microcontrollers. When we were like 15 or maybe 25 years ago, we had microcontrollers starting from 88, 51, all these microcontroller applications where we had to write a lot of code to figure out or to make a LED blink or maybe show a display. But right now you have everything online. You just plug in the Arduino and you just copy paste the code. You have your name shown on the display. So what you should be doing is to build on this application. So the future of urban mobility, by around 2025, it's going to be even 2-3 years from now. You start to see so many companies which are mostly onto this flying application, where the whole thing is driven by an AI-based system which can actually work on, which can actually tackle most of the mobility-related problems which you see today. So applications in IT, I'm just showing a quick example because of the interest of time. The applications in IT. So in IT, all these IT companies, most of the IT companies have a division called BPO, BPS kind of activity. What they do is they go through documents. They come out with all these printed documents, as I said earlier. There was this job called typist job back in the 80s and 90s, where they created so much of data, backdated data. This has to be digitized, or any of those data which is coming in different format has to be digitized, has to be converted to an Excel sheet or some format which they want to see. Because if you see a bank, maybe in the US or anywhere, there will be request, or maybe there will be mortgage forms, which is the home loan forms, which is coming in different formats. As humans, it is easy for us to read handwriting or non-handwriting or printed or whatever it is. But for a computer, it needs to understand, or it has to be taught with the examples which is already there. It has to be taught, like the AI platform, which has to be taught, which needs to go through a digital, so that a person like us can search it. So I'll show an example of if you go to Amazon and search for a particular product. if you go to Amazon and we search for a particular product, I'm searching for something called the Tropicana juice. It contains so much of information. The Amazon site itself provides so much of information on what exactly is this and what is the content, what is the recycled information, where is the analytic information. All these things are manually placed on it. So there is this BPS team who looks through the picture of it. That literally they are doing it. Goes through the picture of it, converting it to a document, and then uploading it to the Amazon or maybe any of those e-commerce websites. This is a major area where automation is happening today. This is called document automation. This is one of the major bread earners or maybe major area which these companies have been banging on for so many years. Right now, it has been coming on to the automation space where you show the picture of it, the whole device or the whole algorithm will start reading whatever is there on the surface of the product, and it can actually come out or read all this information and then pull out specific information from this system. So these are some of the applications or things which you can think about in the future. There are so many applications. Being in India, it's a land of diversity. Even if you create a robot which can climb a coconut tree and pluck in the right coconut, there is going to be a business for it. So climbing a coconut tree is kind of a easy task because it's a cylindrical object. A coconut tree more or less have a similar shape, unless otherwise it is like too much bend, which you can see in the coastal region, in the near coastal, near the sea or lakes, you can see too much bend. But still, it is a cylindrical object where you can always think about a mechanical system which can climb up the tree. But plucking the coconut is the task here. It requires the intuition of the person who climbs up the tree. I think we might have seen my parents talking to the person who climbs up the tree with so much of respect, because if he doesn't come, the coconut is going to fall and it's going to create injury or anything. So I'm not telling that it's an easy job. You have to come out with the AI algorithm which gives the robot the intuition to figure out which one is the right coconut. Another thing is the dexterity of the human hands, as I said earlier. With the dexterity, you can actually go to the side and then pull out the coconut. But how can you create an actuator like that? And if you make something like that, it has been applicable for so many other industries. Like if you can think about plucking oranges, you can think about plucking apples, which is already there. There are so many startups in the US where they are running POCs, proof of concept, proof of value concepts, which they do. So there are so many things. Being in a land of diversity, that's the best thing you have. I would say that's the luckiest thing which I had, which you can use to sell so many of those solutions, technologies, and techniques, which can help you to generate a new idea, a new startup idea for all that So if somebody is going to acquire everybody and you're going to become super rich. And I would also say money should not be your driving factor. You focus on the technology, and thereby you'll be able to generate more revenue or more new concepts in there. Before stopping my speech, I would like to say a word about somebody called Hiro Onoda. Hiro Onoda was a Japanese special intelligence commander during World War II. He was sent to the forests of Philippines in 1944 to fight against or fight for Japan in 1944. And he and his team of 3 soldiers went inside and they were fighting, and they were not aware that in 1945 the World War II entered. They still kept fighting. And the Japanese government started sending flyers over the forest so that he will see and come out of his idea, because he was given strict instruction by the emperor and his superiors saying that you have to keep fighting, because there was no wireless technology or anything which was not there, and he was not believing because he was feeling that these flyers which are coming out from these air-propped pamphlets or leaflets, he's not believing the fact that the war entered. And in 1974. His boss, his superior, directly went and told him that the war is over. He was sent a voice to say that he came back to Japan. But what happened when he came back to Japan is he was in a shock. the Japan lost all its traditional values which he used to see, and it is now a slightly or a colony of US where they are making things for US, and he had this major problem of coping with the new culture which is there. So why I'm telling you is Hiro Onoda became a time wrapped in his 1944 era. He was in the forest for the next 30 years, and he couldn't cope up with the new technology, even though he was seen as an icon, who is known as a war veteran. And eventually, he went to Brazil and that's the story behind it. So I'm talking about the time wrap which we went through. He cannot, digest the fact that Japan has changed and Japan is working as a industrialized kind of a place where they are working to make devices and concepts which mainly meant to be solved in the US. We are going through such a time right now. With the advent of these Raspberry Pis and Arduinos, what is happening that everything which you are getting as a problem statement, you think on that angle only. You think on the Arduino concept, or you think on the Raspberry Pi. How can we create all these things on the rudimentary or on the easily available thing which you can purchase and solve a business problem or not solve a problem? My point is, you have to come out of the trap and think about the conventional programming, conventional C++ programming, which is more onto identifying the cycles, identifying the cycle times. With a simple mobile robot, you can always create with the Arduino or a Raspberry Pi. But when it comes to the cycle times, when you need to do a specific task in the order of millisecond, and you want it to happen in that particular millisecond, you have to come out of that and you have to work on real processors. Being a student, you always have this advantage. But back when I was a student, I used to get samples of microcontrollers, microchips, all these electronic chips from different companies, Texas Instruments, Dallas Semiconductors, Fairchild Semiconductors. All my projects, I wrote to them with my NIT ID, and they used to send me samples. My point is, you should start using those kinds of things rather than these easily available components, because everyone else is working on that. Everyone else is coming out with ideas. So my point is, like, you should come out of that kind of a thing. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing to practice Arduino or anything, but I want you to think about something out of the box, something which you can create grounds up. All these, as I said, the older generation would know what is the importance of a cycle time? What is the importance of every cycle of a microcontroller processor? How can you particularly close a process time in the order of milliseconds? So you have to come out of that time wrap. You have to come out of that thought process which revolves around this Python or revolves around all these free source and all those things, and see what is your contribution which you can do, which you can build onto the system, where you can focus on to real world available problems. And at least some of you would be focusing on creating academic programs or academic projects, your main projects on truly inventable kind of concepts, not for the sake of doing it. So this is all about me, and this was my presentation. I hope I didn't take too much time. So I'm open for questions if you have any. Yeah, thank you. I suppose there is no questions. So I'm creating an AI platform, which is an industry agnostic kind of a platform, which can be used for multiple industries, as I said earlier, from driverless car techniques to automation kind of concepts. And touching to see if we can bring any contribution to blockchain, because blockchain and industrial metaverse is coming to picture. Industrial metaverse is like you are like earlier days you had simulations, right? Where you for an industrial kind of a problem, you have an automation or a bottling plant or a manufacturing plant where you simulated the whole thing. In metaverse, you are putting a VR goggle and you are in the simulation. You are inside the simulation, seeing it as a real world kind of a thing. So if you are converting this space as a factory floor, you put the VR goggles and you are walking around seeing that already the things are there and how the whole thing will be done, and the application, how we can take forward this whole application to the next level. So this is some of the things which I'm experimenting on to see how my investors' money will drain, and once when I'm drained, I'll be jobless, and I'll see what happens. Answer it. Thank you. Any other questions? More question? Somebody asked something here. What is this? I won't go without you guys asking me one question at least. Yeah, please, please. How you came here? Is that the self-driving car? I mentioned in one of my meetings. You asked me why I created self-driving car, or yeah. Yeah. Currently, what is here? So currently, what we are trying to do is to see how we can cope up with traffic in different. So I don't know if you have been to Kanpur or any of those places. You can often see so many candles and all those things walking around on the road. When you have a driverless car, how do you? I'll tell you an example of like once when we were doing a test in Tamil Nadu. Okay. So Tamil Nadu, what happens is like once we are doing test in the interiors of Hosur near Bangalore. There was this small tea vendor who was on one side of the road who was making these banana chips or something, and he has this method of taking off the banana without peeling it off from the whole bunch of banana. So he has a big stick and he was throwing it from one side of the road to other. And from my camera, from my machine learning perspective, we know what is a bird, we know what is a dog. We know we don't have the data for ostrich or anything. We don't have bigger birds, but my camera detected or my lidar system detected something which is bigger than a bird, which is not a dog, which is not a four-legged animal, flying from one side of the road to the other. So these are all unique problems which you see only in India. So how can you create a machine learning model? How can you create a data with this information, with the information which is captured? This is like diamond in US. If I sell this kind of data, because nobody throws peeled bananas out of the roads. So this is what I'm trying to build. How can you make it more sustainable in India? How can you make it much more sellable as a concept, as an IP? All around the world. That's what I'm doing. Yeah, I need to get one question, guys. Either I answer it or not is a different choice. Yeah. I've done it for health sciences. I've done it for manufacturing health sciences applications. I've done it for real surgical kind of applications. I cannot expose the details of it because of the confidentiality. Then all these industrial robots for manufacturing, real industry 4.0 kind of manufacturing. Then another thing is for the testing application, which I saw. Like there's so many custom built systems which we have actually sent. Yeah. Can I take it to mask? Yeah.
Sir, you have done.
Sorry, can you please introduce yourself first? What do you do?
Okay, my name is Chris Jose, and I am a third year student in FISAT itself.
What's your major?
Electronics and Communication.
Oh, tell me, Chris.
Sir, I saw your projects on a nano car and a BMW. We all know that nano and BMW has so many difference in features and its technologies. Have you observed any differences in like was it tough in doing a BMW than in a Nano?
I wouldn't quantify it that way because all these cars, for all these cars, what I did is to drive it with an external robot. I was not reprogramming any of those software stack inside Nano or inside BMW. For both these cars, the similarities would be there is something called an OBD port, onboard diagnostics port, where I push it in to capture data. I need to understand the throttle position, which is the accelerator position, the brake angle, the RPM of the engine. And there are so many different parameters, which is standard, which is the standard OBD protocol, which comes in, which comes in both these cars. For Nano, if you see, for the first version of Nano, it was a bit more complicated because of the manual transmission vehicle. We had to create an automated transmission, manual transmission kind of a thing, where it listened to the engine and it changed the gears according to the sound of the engine, or maybe the inputs which they received from the OBD. But for BMW, the whole thing is like much more easier. I felt working with BMW much more easier. But if it hits something, it hurts more, because it's a BMW than a Nano. So that's the major difference. And with the second generation of my Nano, which has an automatic transmission, which was much more easier because we don't have to tune the algorithm to make the manual transmission to an automatic transmission. So difference, the size is a major factor. Nano has much more smaller size. The number of sensors which are required to utilize to make it visualize the whole thing is less. But for BMW, it is a much more bigger proposition with the rest of it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I think that's all. Thank you very much for the question. Anything else? Any other questions? That's what is called a starting support.
Sir, I myself, Fleming Kesoni. I'm second year EC student. And I have
I didn't get your name again, sorry.
Fleming.
Fleming.
So do you have any plan in contributing your AI system towards drones or flying objects or any kind of stuff?
Well, I do have plans, yes. I do have plans to bring more contribution onto the flying.
Thank you, sir. Thanks.
I think so. Thank you very much for your time. Wish you all the best.
Thank you, sir, for your zestful and vibrant words and providing us with wide knowledge. We are so privileged to have you here. Now we have Mr. Nandakumar R, Chair of IEEE RAS Kerala Chapter 2022, to give the felicitation. Sir, please.
Respected dignitaries on and off the dais, respected faculty members, chapter chairs, advisors, IEEE fraternity, thank you all for assembling here. And it's really blessed that after a very long break, we all could assemble here in this wonderful campus of SAT. On behalf of each one of you, let me take this opportunity to appreciate our selfless team of student volunteers led by Abdul Ahad, Jose, and the entire leadership team for making this happen. I truly appreciate the hard work and the vision put in by our beloved Jisha ma'am, who has been leading us from the front. And I take this opportunity to appreciate the whole RAS team, the leadership team. We start with Rijin Narayanan, Midhun Bhaskar, Vijilash Babu, and all our Exicom members for bringing out RAS to this level. And I specifically would like to communicate from the section chapter side a deep sense of gratitude. Team FISAT, Team Rajagiri, and all our RAS chapters across Kerala. And we specifically would like to honor the effort put in by keynote speaker for enlightening us with this wonderful session. I hope all of us have got at least 10 to 20 startup ideas from his speech. And as the chair-elect for 2022, I really request your strong support to take the activities forward. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I invite Mr. Rejan Narayanan, former chair of IEEE RAS Kerala chapter, to give away the felicitation. On to you, sir.
Thanks, Roshi, for the. And I want to leave you with a simple message. Just, I want you to think, I want all of you to think why you are here. And are you here just for entertainment? Are you here only for, I could have children or sit some more? I want all of you to think why you are listening to people like Tom, all the other people who are coming here from the industry. What is it that you are getting that you don't get from your very well qualified teachers who are already here? Why are you attending this IEEE program? What does IEEE bring you that CSAT does not bring you or cannot bring you? Like, if you don't have that perspective, then what is this whole thing about brain? I think that's very important to understand. So first of all, everything that you are taught here, that you learn here, is largely in the realm of analysis. Right? So computer science, you learn what is a bubble sorter program. You learn what is the class D amplifier, how does it work? You learn things like how does an induction motor work? How does it work the way it works? So that's all in the realm of analysis. But the minute you step out, you'll be working more on synthesis, how to build new stuff, right? So Roshi explained a lot of such things. Once you get into that realm, it's an altogether different space. And that is why it is important for you to listen to people like Roshi. Even before that. That's a big difference, right? And on the other hand, we guys are probably not the best people to teach you in a systematic manner. So that is not our expertise, and that is what we get from your teachers. And what does IEEE bring you? So these are all certain, let's say, certain different kinds of organizations, different kinds of work. Teaching happens in institutes. A lot of creative work happens in the industry or in research institutes like that also some kind of R&D happens. So IEEE is an association that, among other things like standards development, it also connects, it cuts across these boundaries. So, for example, it's a great platform to bring people like and me to a place like this, right? So I think it's very important for you to understand this, and with that understanding, leverage this. So I think this leverage is what this two-day event affords you. So make the stage of the program. Yeah, thanks, and thanks once again.
Thank you so much, sir. Next, I invite Ms. Ardra Saji, Chairperson of IEEE FISAT SP, for the felicitation. Over to you, Ardra.
Good morning, all. Myself, Ardra Saji, Chair of IEEE FISAT SP. We are deeply indebted to IEEE RAS Kerala chapter for conferring us an opportunity to host All Kerala Robotics and Automation Society Conclave 2021-22. IEEE FISAT SP, in coordination with IEEE RAS Kerala chapter and our co-host IEEE RSET SB, worked as a family with extreme diligence and agility to bring to light the maximum out of us. Day and night, ardent cooperation of both our volunteers made it possible to this day. The management of FISAT has been a greatest support from the day IEEE was formed in FISAT. As always, they were uplifted and helped us uplifted for conducting this event, and thanking all our special guests for taking their time of their busy schedules to be with us. And now, heartfelt thanks to all the professional members from RAS Kerala chapter and our dearest branch councillor, Mr. Bijoy sir, for their valuable support and guidance till date. Last but not the least, thanking you for giving me this opportunity to express my gratitude and making part of this event. Thank you all.
Thank you, Ardra. Now I invite the chairperson of IEEE RSET, Mr. Ben Baiju, for the felicitation ceremony.
Good morning, everyone present here. Respected principal, teachers, participants, and fellow EXCOM members of RAS and the Kerala section. It gives me immense pleasure to watch all of us present here. It's been, as all the speakers pointed out, over 2 years where all the events were conducted in online mode. It's been a while since all of us have been present in the same place in offline mode. A thing which I would like to say is both Rajagiri, FISAT, as well as the Kerala section has worked really hard to make this event of immense value for its participants. I would like to thank the speakers who have taken time off their busy schedules to attend this event personally as well as on behalf of IEEE RSET SP. I do hope this collaboration between RSET and FISAT will be the one which kicks off a series of events, hopefully in the future. I hope all of you will have a good time, create memories, network with new people, and add new skills which will help you in the journey to finding your passion. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Now I invite Mr. Abdul Ahad, Student Representative 2021, IEEE RAS Kerala chapter, to propose the vote of thanks.
Yes, respected dignitaries of the RAS, respected guests of honor, Mr. Chairman, chairpersons, and all the esteemed distinguished speakers who are present today. A warm good morning to you all. It is indeed a great pleasure for me today to be offering the vote of thanks at this auspicious ceremony. On behalf of all my colleagues and the organizers of this function, first, we would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude and sincere thanks to Dr. Francie Park, our extinguished guest, for the President of IEEE RAS, who gave his vital time today to be present at this function and inaugurate this ceremony. Thank you, sir. Next, I would like to extend our sincere gratitude to Dr. Roshi John, our chief guest for today's ceremony, for offering his talk on autonomous robots, as well as giving his extensive experience and sharing his great insights with all of us today. Thank you, sir. As a token of our appreciation and gratitude, we would like to offer you a small memento. And for doing the honors, I would like to invite Dr. Disha Ma'am, Chair of IEEE RAS Kerala Chapter 2021. Further, I would like to offer a big thanks to Dr. Mini C. Ulnat, the chairperson of IEEE Kerala Section 2021, for sharing her vision and marking her presence during the ceremony. Next, I extend our warmest gratitude to the past chair of IEEE Kerala Section, Dr. Sharda Jayakrishnan,
for continued support and valuable presence in the ceremony. Now, this magnanimous event would not have been possible without the unwavering support of the faculty and management of Federal Institute of Science and Technology. So I take this opportunity to thank the chairperson of ISAT, Mr. Shimit PR, for his unwavering support and guidance during these tough times. So as a token of appreciation, we would like to offer a small memento. And on behalf of the organizing team, I would like to invite Dr. Mr. Nandakumar, sir, the chairperson of IEEE RAS Kerala Chapter 2022. I would also like to extend our due gratitude to the Honorable Principal of ISAT, Dr. Manoj George, for his consent and unwavering support and encouragement during these times. Thank you, sir. I again welcome Mr. Nandakumar, sir, to offer our appreciation to Dr. Manoj, sir, in form of a small memento. So again, thank you, sirs. Next, I offer our sincere gratitude to our source of inspiration, guidance, and encouragement, our past chair of IEEE RAS Kerala Chapter, Dr. Jisha ma'am. I would also like to use this opportunity to extend our warmest thanks to Mr. Nandakumar, sir, the chair of IEEE RAS Kerala Chapter, for his insightful guidance and mentorship. Thank you, sir. I take this opportunity to extend our gratitude to Mr. Rajin Narayanan, the former chair of IEEE RAS Kerala Chapter, for being with us today and extending his wholehearted support and marking his guidance. Thank you, sir. I also take this opportunity to thank and welcome all the speakers and resource persons and esteemed guests who have gathered with us today, along with the SP chairs who have marked their presence in the ceremony. Thank you all for accepting our invite and joining with us today. So, as we all know, the wheels of an event starts rolling months before it initially, initial days of the event. And as you may have seen, the tireless works and efforts of the volunteers of ISAT and Rajagiri draw much appreciation. And I take this opportunity to thank their unwavering dedication and hard work. Thank you for all the volunteers. And most importantly, I thank all the participants and registrants from various student branches across Kerala for marking your presence in the ceremony and wishing you all the best for this event. So once again, on behalf of everyone present here and the organizing committee, I extend a warmest gratitude. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Abdul Ahad. I request all of you to rise for the national anthem.
Punjab, Sindh, Gujarat, Maratha, Uttara, Ganga, Vindhya, Himachal, Yamuna, Ganga, Uchala, Jagati, Taranga, Shubha Name Jage, Tava Shubha Ashish Mage, Gane Tava Jaya Gatha, Jana Gana Mandala Nayaka Jaya He, Bharata Bhagya Vidhata, Jaya He, Jaya He, Jaya He, Jaya 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 He.
We have officially come to the end of the inaugural ceremony. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your time and patience. We are extremely privileged to have you here.
We would like to thank all our guests for giving their valuable time to spark our event. Furthermore, we would love to thank every team for their hard work in arranging this event. Coming to the end of the inauguration ceremony, we wish you a flabbergasting and astounding experience ahead. And once again, thank you.
Tea has been arranged in outside the seminar hall. Participants, you may move without making a hurry. Please follow the volunteers. Within 10 minutes, you should report in the same seminar hall for the next session.